In September 1994, 86-year-old J.C. Johnson Sr., a retired minister, set out to mow his neighbor's lawn, something he did as a favor when she was out of town. When he pushed his mower past a wooden shed between the two properties, the noise and vibrations from the motor stirred up a nest of Africanized killer bees.
I went over next door in the backyard to mow the grass. And just as I was even with that barn-type building there, I was suddenly surrounded by bees. They were just so surrounded my head, and I ran over to a hydrant and had a hose on it. And I turned on the water and tried washing bees off, but didn't make a dent in it. They just covered me. And I said, well, I better get out of here. And so I ran out the gate and on out to where I saw another hydrant with a hose on it. And so I tried that water, and no good. And it was so thick with bees, it sounded like a cloud.
Meanwhile, his son, J.C. Johnson Jr., who lives next door, noticed an unusual number of bees in his yard. He had just gone inside to escape the bees when he heard a cry for help.
Help! Okay, I saw my father across the street lying down, and I was concerned about him because I thought perhaps he'd had a heart attack or he had fallen. And so I called to him. I said, Dad, are you all right? And he said, no. So immediately I raced across the street to find out what the situation was, and that's where I discovered the bees. And the bees were all over him, all over his face, all over everywhere, and quickly were all over me. And it's a very uncomfortable and panic-causing type situation.
You didn't feel any one bee. You just felt the whole thing. It's like you were in a furnace.
I was never afraid that I was going to die. I was concerned for my father's safety and health because he's elderly.
While J.C. Jr.'s wife called 911, the killer bees relentlessly attacked the two men. Police officer Diana Fox.
When we arrived on the scene, all we knew was man down. And when I turned the corner, it looked like it was just a black blob. He was completely covered with bees.
They came right in there with complete disregard for their own safety.
None of my training had prepared me for this. So I just ran over and started using my hands to get him out of his face and to see if he was still alive.
As the bees attacked her too, Officer Fox used a fire extinguisher to try to stop them. Both of the Johnsons were transported to a local hospital for emergency treatment to try to counteract the bee venom.
I think the bees must have stung me in the neighborhood that 2,000 times, according to some estimates. But nobody counted, and so the bees won the day.
Dr. Norman Gary is a bee expert.
Africanized bees are different from ordinary honeybees. They are honeybees. They're different species. But the important thing to know is that they defend their nest very, very aggressively. If you find that you're being attacked by bees, killer or otherwise, the best thing to do is to flee the area, get out of the defensive zone, because they really do sting near the hive. You see, keep going until you lose them or until you can get inside of a house or a car, something like that.